Today we are checking out from a channel that we've done a lot of their videos on our sister channel Embrace the Globe
Yep.
21, but I think this is their debut on Embrace the Suck 21. Geodioed!
Geodioed.
Yes. And today the video of theirs we're checking out is Scotland, geography, culture, and economy.
I'm here for it. Like, if anything, like, I don't think I've ever said this on this channel. You know, this is a great way to learn before you go through the streets and do your vlogs. You know what I mean? Like, pick up the tips and tricks and or info, you know, that you need. Obviously, it's not a one and done, but it's definitely a good conversation starter.
Exactly. I mean, look, when I went to the UK this summer, I only stopped mostly in Glasgow, had like a combined an hour in Edinburgh, but only at the train station. I wanted to go to Inverness, but unfortunately I partied too hard in Glasgow and I missed my train to Inverness. So hopefully I'll get some more inspiration.
Yeah.
And know to go to bed at a decent time so I can catch my Scot rail.
There you go. There you go, man. But no, this is going to be interesting, man. This is going to be interesting.
Heck yeah. Ready?
Yep. Let's do it.
3, 2, 1. It's the one place that I wish I had more time in when I was up there a couple months ago.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame, but at the same time, it's like I feel like you need a whole trip dedicated to this place.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, it can't be a just stop in and leave. You know.
Right. Yeah.
But that could be said about anywhere you go. Right.
Right. It could be said about the other countries in the United Kingdom. You know, England, Wales. I'd say Ireland, both Northern and Republic, that deserves its own trip in itself. But definitely top of the list for me personally is Scotland.
Is that somewhere where you go in the summer? Like, I'm assuming yes.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless you're into, colder weather. I mean, but then again, there's always a part of that talks about that. So why don't we talk about that then?
True.
We'll figure that out.
We'll wait to the graphs. Got it.
This is a part 2. I guess there was a part 1 of it, but we could probably check it out later.
Okay. Yeah.
Scotland is a country within the nation-state of the United Kingdom, being the most northerly part of the island of Great Britain. It is comprised essentially of 3 parts: an archipelago, highlands and lowlands. It has a rich history and culture, quite distinct from that of its southern English neighbour, and such is the depth of this distinction that I chose to cover this country in a separate set of videos, despite Scotland not being a nation-state per se. I do use the word country correctly, however, as Scotland is one of 4 countries of the United Kingdom and is the legal term used to describe these subdivisions of the greater nation-state. In this, the second of a 2-part presentation, I'll look at Scotland's physical and human geography, its national organisation and state structure and symbols, and lastly its economy and culture. If you haven't yet watched part 1 regarding Scotland's rich history, I recommend you do so to gain a full understanding of Scottish culture and the country of today.
Okay, so that was the part 1. We do have that queued up in the watch later. I don't know, depending on how we feel, we may do this all at once, or maybe we'll break it off and say, get us to 20,000 and we'll do part 1.
Yeah, pretty much. Man, okay, cool. I'm here for it.
Let's do it.
If you like these country summary videos, then please be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss future episodes. The word Scotland means land of the Scots, which is simple enough, but the word Scot has a more complex history, as I go into in part 1 of this presentation. The geography of Scotland is a contrast of wild and rugged islands and highlands on the one side, and tamed lowlands on the other. It forms the top half of the island of Great Britain, so named as it is the larger of the 2 British Isles. The only land border is with England, although within the customs union that has been in place since 1707, one can pass through uninterrupted. To the east is the North Sea, and to the north and west the Atlantic Ocean. To the southwest is the North Channel of the Irish Sea, separating Scotland from Ireland. With a total land area of just over 80,000 square kilometres, it is 60% the size of England and 14% larger than the Republic of Ireland. If ranked globally, it would be the 115th largest by land area between the Czech Republic and the United Arab Emirates. The mainland spans latitudes from 54 to 58 degrees north, while the top of the Shetland Islands reaches as far as 60 degrees north. The car journey of 390 miles from the extreme north to south on the mainland will take you about 8 hours, while the journey of 230 miles at the widest point would take around 5.5 hours.
Okay.
That's basically one of our states.
Yeah.
I mean, that it's about 5 hours to where I am to where you are, so
Yep.
you could basically fit Scotland into there.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There are 4 island groups off the Scottish coast. In the far north we have the Shetland Islands, to the immediate north the Orkneys, to the northwest the Outer Hebrides, and nestled within the channels and peninsulas of the rugged west coast, the Inner Hebrides. Due in part to the almost constant winds blowing in from the Atlantic, all these islands are almost totally devoid of forest cover and have been so throughout recorded history.
That's crazy.
Instead, they are covered in low-lying shrubs such as heather and gorse, along with grasses. The Highlands of Scotland form the northern and western parts of the mainland and are considered to be one of the last great wildernesses of Europe, being relatively lightly populated. They too are largely lacking forest cover, either due to their elevation that means summer temperatures are too cool for the growth of trees, or to millennia of deforestation and the grazing of cattle, deer and sheep that prevent the budding of saplings. So, like the islands, most have a covering of grasses and low-lying shrubs. The highest point in the British Isles is found here. Ben Nevis, meaning cloudy mountain in Gaelic, stands at 1,345 meters. It can be climbed in one day, as I did just over a decade ago, and demonstrates that the British Isles are not truly mountainous when compared to many other countries where mountain ranges regularly exceed 3 times this height. The Highlands are split in two by the almost ruler strait Great Glen, with Loch Ness running most of its length. By contrast, the central and eastern parts of Scotland are low-lying, where most of the population is found, and when not urbanised are almost completely farmed. Finally, we have the southern uplands that form a wide skirt of elevated country that is comparatively sparsely populated and has acted as a natural barrier to England for centuries. Like almost all of the British Isles, the climate is oceanic, meaning that rain can occur year-round, and where the variation in temperature is mild, with cool winters and warm summers.
Okay, all right.
Wow.
Here's what we're looking at here. All right. Mild summers and pretty cold winters.
And lots of water.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that joke about the British rain, it applies to Scotland as well.
You know what though? I say that's a lot of water. I don't even know how many inches of water a year we get here. I have no idea. I'm just 40 inches of water. I'm like, yeah, that seems like a lot. I don't know if that's a lot or not. I have no idea. But I want to touch on this point. That's why it's always looked so odd to me. Right? That's why Scotland's always looked so odd to me when they show like these nature pictures, and I could never put my finger on it. And it's because of the lack of trees. Like you see beautiful meadows and grass everywhere. I just like that. It looks like it's so mystical, right? But I never put it together that there are not that many trees there.
Yeah, because it's so far north.
At least what do you say? The Highlands? No trees. And that's what it is. That's why I'm like that. It's mystical. It's beautiful, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Why it was so unique looking, and it's because
Mm-hmm.
there's just a lack of trees.
Yeah.
So okay,
Yeah. I mean, with the precipitation, there is a short on this channel of me doing one of its JPS's things, and it's showing the torrential downpour that I first experienced in Glasgow.
I can't believe you survived that, dude. You're lucky. You're lucky to be alive. I'm
I
surprised YouTube didn't censor that.
I don't
So
know, man. I don't know.
pretty death defying.
Yeah. But this is only the top part. Maybe there's
Yeah.
other parts that are a little better.
Yeah.
The variation in temperature is mild, with cool winters and warm summers. That said, there are significant variations in rainfall between the west and east coast.
Oh yeah. Okay. So it's a little better in the summer, but at the same time, look at
Oh,
that jump in precipitation.
okay. I take back what I said. That's a lot of water right there.
What is that? 105 inches?
Yeah, about 105 inches. Yeah.
Holy crap, man.
Yeah. Let me see if they do another part of it.
As the prevailing wind direction is westerly, and so storms moving in from the Atlantic deposit their load on the
Okay. Edinburgh, the precipitation is definitely a lot more tame and about the same, temperature, I'd say.
Which is kind of crazy because if you think about how long it took to drive the whole length, right? About 8 hours is what they said, right?
Yeah.
They're really like their climate zones aren't that spread out,
No.
like, which is kind of crazy to have these graphs show these completely different what is this, the temperature and the precipitation, right,
Yeah.
in just a short amount of time.
Yeah. And not that much of a distance.
No,
Yeah.
like for us, like for me to get to you, I would say, okay, you probably have a milder winter than we do, right?
Yeah, that's 100% true.
So that's about 6 hours south, 6 hours north. Yeah, never mind. I guess, okay, I'm proving my own point. Okay, that's it. So 6 hours, basically new north or south is a new climate.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
rugged western coasts, leaving a small remainder to continue eastward. Curiously, certain sheltered parts of the west coast, such as the village of Plockton, sport palm trees reminiscent of the tropics. The reason for this is that Scotland is in the direct path of the warm Gulf Stream ocean current of the Atlantic, which is responsible in general for the mild climate at these high latitudes, but in particular for local spots right on the ocean that are also sheltered by surrounding hills that prevent cold winds blowing out from the interior that would otherwise bring frost.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. So you won't freeze your ass off in the wintertime.
Okay. That's neat. That's
I love
neat.
that.
All right. They made lemonade. They're like, this is kind of warm around here. We'll stay.
Yeah.
Like it.
Yeah. I love that.
From the interior that would otherwise bring frost. One last comment of Scotland's geography relates to its geology, where, in fact, that very subject began. The rocks of Scotland have been examined for a longer period than any place in the world, and it was here that the Scot James Hutton, considered to be the father of modern geology, first postulated that the Earth was probably much older than the few thousand years that were thought at that time. Scotland has a population of around 5.5 million, comprising only about 8% of the total UK population, despite occupying about a third of its land area. Notably, it is less than 10% of the population of England. Over 80% of Scotland's population are white Scottish-born, with about 8% being from other parts of the UK, and between 2 to 3% being of South Asian origin. In the 2011 census, Scots were asked how they self-identify nationally. 62% said Scottish only, while 18% identified as Scottish and British, and 8% as British only.
See, that's one of the things that we've learned about, or at least I learned through doing the UK trip is that, certain places they don't consider themselves British, some don't consider themselves English, like Scousers in Liverpool, they don't consider themselves English or British. And like calling a Scot a British person, you're basically rolling the dice on whether or not you're gonna get your ass kicked.
Yeah, I can definitely. I've heard that before. So
Yeah.
yes, but that's okay. That's some interesting numbers right there. I mean, granted, it's an old census, but yeah, okay.
Right. To our Scots in the comments, let us know if you live there, you're born there, what do you identify as?
National identity. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
This demonstrates that the Scottish identity is still very much alive, despite being in a union with England for over 3 centuries. Although recent DNA studies do not show a great distinction between the Scots and the English, Scotland nonetheless has the second highest proportion of redheads in the world at 6%, with only Ireland at 10% having more. Redheads are
Wow, that's again another mind-blowing fact right there, that you just assume everyone in Ireland and Scotland have red hair, but it's only 10% of Ireland and 6% of Scotland. And
There you go.
I've been told I have a bit of a red tinge in my beard there.
Oh
Not
yeah,
in my hair, but in my beard,
definitely, dude.
which
I
is
see it.
weird.
I see
Yeah.
it. Yeah, for sure.
I'm just a freak, is what I am.
associated with Celtic peoples as documented as far back as ancient Greek and Roman sources. English is spoken universally throughout Scotland, with a range of accents that, to a native English speaker outside of Scotland, is instantly recognisable as Scottish. However, there are more subtle regional accents of English within Scotland, with Glaswegian being notably different to Edinburgh despite their relatively close proximity.
Oh my god, yes. That right now in Patreon, we're watching Still Game. We're still on the first season, but my god, we need about 2 minutes to
It
understand the
it
dialect.
takes a minute. It takes a minute for us to get on board, you know,
Yeah.
or at least where we're not like straining. But yeah,
Right. Links in the description if y'all want to watch that. It's at the $3 a month
yeah,
tier.
amazing
Yeah,
show.
it is funny. Once we get used to the accent, it's gut busting funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's top for me.
Oh
But,
yeah. Oh yeah.
These accents, and the Scottish accent considered collectively, are the descendants of the Scots language of the Middle Ages, where English was mixed with Gaelic forms during the urbanisation of the lowlands at that time. Since the Union of 1707, however, Scots rapidly fell into disuse as it was seen at that time as backward or denoted one of a lower class. Remarkably though, the Scots language today is claimed to be spoken by about 30% of Scottish people,
wow.
predominantly in the east and south of the country. For a native English speaker such as myself, which I personally estimate at about 75% legibility rate when reading or listening, it is a fascinating experience as it is the only true dialect of English, that most universal of all tongues, that can be regarded as a separate language and is indeed officially recognized as such. Language that most are fascinating.
I'm gonna try some of these. I dinna ken if the baron is a laddie or a lassie. I don't know if the baby is a boy or a girl.
Cool.
What time is tea? I'm hungered. What time is dinner? I'm hungry. We'll be celebrating Yule in fresh year at Nana's house. We'll be celebrating Christmas and New Year at Nana's house.
Looks like Hoos.
Hoos.
Hoos. There you go.
Oh man, when I still have a subscriber sent me this book about like Scottish sayings. Let me just pull one out here. Wink at my faults. Ya ain't are muckle. Do not be critical of other faults, as you are not perfect.
There you go.
Things like that. See if I put that up without.
Proverb right there. It's all coming down.
It's all coming down. That's what I get for trying to move stuff. Anyway. Okay. All right, that'll do for now.
There you go.
Moving on.
Of all tongues that can be regarded as a separate language and is indeed officially recognised as such. Scottish Gaelic, by comparison, is now only spoken by about 1% of Scottish people, largely in the Outer Hebrides, a variant and survivor of the Celtic Gaelic language brought over from Ireland in the early Middle Ages. You can hear all these English accents, Scots and Gaelic spoken in links that I provided in the video description. When it comes to religion, just over a third of Scots are Protestant Christian, with most adhering to the Presbyterian Church of Scotland. Half that number are Catholic, while just over a third of the total claim no religion. Glasgow is the largest city in Scotland, with the greater metro area accounting for over a third of the total Scottish population.
I've been there.
There you go. They're cool.
Yeah. I walked down there while I was doing the mural walk. For anybody who hasn't done it, I highly recommend it. If I remember to, I'll put a link to Google Maps thing where you could do the mural walk of Glasgow. I highly recommend it.
Oh, that was awesome, man.
Yeah.
At 1.8 million. Next in population is the capital of Edinburgh, with a metro area population of about 1 million. Both are within the densely populated lowland belt around the Forth and Clyde rivers. Scotland's third city, however, lies far to the northeast. Aberdeen has a metro area population of about 500,000 and is home to Scotland's oil industry. Scotland's position as a nation today is within the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, or UK for short. It is one of the 4 countries that compose the UK, the others being Northern Ireland, Wales and England. All of these countries send members of Parliament, or MPs, to Westminster, London for the 650-member National Parliament for terms that cannot exceed 5 years between each election. All countries except England have some form of devolution or autonomy, with an assembly or parliament that has varying degrees of powers to enact laws that relate to domestic affairs within that country. Of these devolved assemblies, the Scottish Parliament in Edinburgh has the most powers and form a rather long and complex list. For instance, food safety, education and agriculture are within its purview, whereas broadcasting, pensions and drug policy are not. Most importantly, defence and fiscal and economic policy are determined as a whole UK. While this might sound like a federal structure, it isn't, since England has no parliament, and indeed the 59 MPs from Scotland can still, rather controversially, vote on issues in the national parliament that might only affect England. There are some areas, however, that have forever remained separate to England. Scottish law, for instance, was never harmonised to English law, and legal terms and court procedures have always been different. Within Scotland itself, like the rest of the UK, the next subdivision is at the local authority level. There are 32 such authorities, ranging in size from the large Highland Council down to the 6 councils that collectively encompass the Greater Glasgow area. In the Cato Institute's latest Human Freedom Index, compiled now from data that includes those events of 2020, Scotland, considered as part of the UK, ranks 20th globally, which is very high. Like most countries during this time, personal freedom in the UK dipped sharply in the wake of lockdowns imposed by the governments of all 4 UK countries in response to the coronavirus outbreak. This aspect can be seen in the UK's score within the section Movement. The Scottish Government was free to pursue different lockdown and masking policies to those of England, and I will note here that they imposed them with greater vigour and for longer periods.
Wow.
On the economic side, the main weakness is the continually increasing size of government within the UK, with tax rates now being at a 70-year high. The flag of Scotland is a white saltire, meaning a diagonal cross, against a blue field. It is also known as the Cross of St. Andrew, the patron saint of Scotland. The saltire forms the blue and white part of the Union flag of the United Kingdom. The white saltire on a blue field has been associated with Scottish military and heraldry since the Middle Ages. The Royal Arms of Scotland is a red line rampant on a golden shield. Dating back also to the Middle Ages as part of Scottish royal heraldry, it was quartered with the English arms when James VI of Scotland became also James I of England in 1603, and so it takes its place today on the official United Kingdom coat of arms. That said, a special coat of arms for the Union is used within Scotland, giving the Scottish line pride of place on the main shield. On this arms, the Latin "nemo me impune lacessit" translates as "no one provokes me with impunity," a motto dating back to the Scottish military of the Middle Ages.
Alright.
The Scottish economy is an advanced mixed economy typical of highly developed Western countries. The estimated gross domestic product in 2020 was $205 billion, which, if viewed as its own country, would be the 50th largest in the world and around the size of that of Greece, New Zealand and Peru. Once a hive of heavy industry, in particular coal, steel and shipbuilding, these industries declined in the latter half of the 20th century, and today most of the Scottish economy is in the service sector. Scotland's most famous export is a certain distilled alcoholic beverage. I refer, of course, to whisky, the distilled fermentations of malted or germinated barley. Distilleries can be found across Scotland, but with the largest concentrations in Speyside in the northeast and Islay in the southern Inner Hebrides. In 2018, Scotland exported over £4 billion of whisky. Oil.
Yep, and I can attest. It is some of the best whiskey I've ever tasted. At Scotia Bar, where Billy Connolly's band got his start, I sampled a couple of whiskeys. Some I didn't film, but yeah.
Man, that just seems, that's tempting. That's like a candy store right there.
Yeah, I felt like a kid in a candy store. I knew if I stayed in there too long, I would probably blow my budget for the rest of the trip.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Exported over £4 billion of whisky. Oil was discovered in the North Sea to the north and east of Scotland in the 1960s, and production began in the 1970s, peaking in the late 1990s, but is still today a significant employer within Scotland, a generator of tax revenue for the UK government, and is the country's largest export.
Yeah, I'm probably going to stir the pot a little bit when I say this, but that, from the Scottish people I've talked to, it seems like that's the biggest hang up from Scotland getting independence from the rest of Britain, is because England, Wales, they depend on Scotland so much for oil. So
it's always oil.
Yeah,
it's always oil.
If they let Scotland go, then they'd be SOL and JWF when it came to, getting oil, and taxes would go up even higher.
Yeah.
Revenue for the UK government, and is the country's largest export. With such distinctive natural beauty within the Highlands in particular, as well as dozens of castles, palaces, and the unique historical draw of the capital Edinburgh, it is no surprise to find tourism as a significant industry in today's Scotland. An estimated 3.5 million visitors came to the country in 2018, spending around £6 billion, and contributed about 5% to the national economy.
That makes sense.
That's pretty
Scotland
high.
has a very rich and distinctive culture that has emerged over centuries through its blend of Celtic and British influences. In terms of architectural treasures, Scotland hosts a number of UNESCO World Heritage Sites. The oldest of these are the Neolithic villages of Skara Brae in Orkney, the best preserved Stone Age ruins in Europe. Then there are the old and new towns of Edinburgh. The unique old city centre of Edinburgh once had the tallest residential buildings in Europe during the 16th and 17th centuries, and these towering stone buildings flank you as you walk up the Royal Mile to the spectacular Edinburgh Castle at the highest end of the hill, its outline dominating the city's skyline. Just to the north is the new town of Georgian terraces and crescents built during the city's expansion of the 18th century, following the union with England, and a living testament to the days of the Scottish Enlightenment. Not far away is the Forth Bridge, a colossal cantilevered railway bridge built from tubular steel and completed in 1890.
Wow.
I remember seeing that on one of the Fred Dibna's Made in Britain things, how he tried to, bring his traction engine over. That was a hell of a feat.
That thing looks that impressive, to say the least.
Yeah.
That is no small bridge right there.
The bridge, my personal favourite among all the world's bridges, has an impressive total length of 2.5 kilometres, with the two central spans each being over 500 metres. Subject to the salted winds of the Firth of Forth, the vast amounts of steel need to be painted so much that when a crew supposedly finishes painting it from one end to the other, so much time has elapsed that they must start again at the beginning.
Oh my god.
And so the expression painting the Forth Bridge entered the English lexicon, referring to a task that would continue without end.
So basically, us doing this, it's like painting the Forth Bridge. It will never end.
It'll never end.
Yeah.
Yep. But that's crazy. That I couldn't imagine. You get to the end, like, guys, we did it. Actually, before you guys go home, you got to start over. Excuse me?
I quit.
Oh my god.
Scottish cuisine is famous for two things: haggis and deep frying. Okay, so the deep frying is a bit of a dig at the Glaswegian propensity among fast food outlets for putting almost anything in batter and deep frying it. Perhaps this once started out in the tradition of the British national dish of deep fried cod or haddock with chipped potatoes, that is, fish and chips, which in Scotland, by the way, are the best in the world from my experience.
I didn't have fish and chips in Scotland, but but the whole deep frying thing, Glaswegians, you could consider them rednecks, because we do that all the time in the South.
And we mean that with love.
Yes, and that's a good thing. We don't mean that in a bad way at all. Yeah.
But the eclectic denizens of Glasgow sought more from the fryer, and so battered and deep-fried sausages and chicken then suddenly jumped to Mars bars and even ice cream. And what about the mysterious haggis? Is it some rare creature found among the glens of the Highlands? Actually, no, it's just a mix of sheep's heart, liver and lungs minced with onions, oatmeal and various spices, wrapped in a sheep's stomach and boiled. I can see you all now rushing to Scotland to sample this culinary delight. Something perhaps more palatable to Scotland to...
Okay. Now, some of y'all will remember from the UK vlogs that me and my New Zealand buddy, we was out drinking, and my first trying of a haggis was a deep fried haggis, and I was so drunk I rated it an 8 out of 10. It was more a 6 out of 10. I feel like if I had it like not deep fried, it would be good. It would bump it back up to an 8 out of 10. So
it's one of those things that I would totally eat as long as you just don't tell me what it is. Like a hot dog. Like, hey guys, just like a hot dog. Just don't tell me what's in it. I'll like it.
Right. It's very beefy. It's very meaty. It's a lot of umami in there. That it's umami you don't ask too many questions about.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Fair point.
Mm-hmm.
To sample this culinary delight. Something perhaps more palatable, though, was the Scottish development of shortbread biscuits or cookies, composed simply from butter, sugar and flour. And we have already mentioned the giant in the world of food and drink, that is Scottish whisky. Although bagpipes are not unique to Scotland, it is those of this country that are internationally famous and today form the core of ceremonial music in Scotland and often Britain as a whole. The bag, traditionally made from the stomach of a sheep, is inflated by the performer, allowing them to breathe independently and provide a constant source of wind, with a bass set of chords emerging from the top 3 pipes and the bottom pipe which has the active melody played from it. Where you find a bagpipe player, you're guaranteed to also find their other Scottish hallmark, the tartan.
Oh my god.
Tartan is woven wool cloth made into cross patterns that soon developed into unique coloured signatures that would define a particular family or clan. Both tartan and bagpipes came from the Gaelic tradition, as evidenced by the Irish today having their own tartans and their own bagpipes, known as uilleann pipes. Tartan was worn by bagpipe.
What?
Uilleann pipes. Uilleann pipes. You said it. You finally said it. Excuse me. There's this artist that's part of Nightwish called Troy Donackley, and he plays the uilleann pipes. But the way it's spelled, I could never wrap my head around how to pronounce it. Everyone tried to help me out, but it's just like uilleann pipes, and I'm just like, it's not that hard. But anyway, uilleann pipes, done, fixed it. Thanks, guys, for 6 months of me saying it wrong.
Cool. Man, and I just got flashbacks to so many of the OG ATS subscribers wanting me to wear
It's your
a
Joyce tartan.
Yeah, it still hasn't happened yet. I don't know if it will happen. We'll see if we get these views up.
Maybe during the summer months.
Bro. Yeah, we could probably talk about it if we get these views up.
Yep.
As evidenced by the Irish today having their own tartans and their own bagpipes, known as uilleann pipes.
Uilleann pipes.
Tartan was worn by Highlanders when they went into battle in the form of a skirt known as a kilt, and today on formal occasions and ceremonies, Scottish men usually wear a kilt in place of trousers in a suit. Wow. And what creature lurks in the dark waters of Loch Ness? Of course, the Loch Ness Monster exists, right? Well, I'm sitting on the fence on that one. But what is certain is that it has become one of the world's most enduring and famous mysteries, rivaling that of Bigfoot of North America or the Yeti of the Himalayas. The first record of a supposedly large beast swimming in the waters of the loch goes back as far as the 6th century, but the myth came to international prominence with a photo of the supposed beast taken in 1933, later proven to be a hoax. Various sonar and other scientific surveys over the subsequent decades have not found any large beast living there, so either Nessie was just a figment of an old Highlander's active imagination, or she is very good at hiding in the deep waters of the loch.
I swear I will get there next year. It broke my heart that I couldn't go search for Nessie.
Dude, I would love to go with you when they have one of these, like, what is it? They do like these mass like checks for Nessie, and like all the boats are always out there. I would love to go on one. Like, fuck it, we're gonna go fishing.
Fishing for Nessie.
Yep.
She is very good at hiding in the deep waters of the loch. As for sports, well, Scotland brought us one of the most universally popular of all outdoor pastimes. I refer, of course, to the game of hitting a ball with a club across long distances. Golf first appeared in Scotland as early as the 15th century, with the modern game of 18 holes being developed in St Andrews in the 18th century, and the first tournament being the Open Championship, also taking place in Scotland in 1860.
That's awesome.
I just think back to the Robin Williams.
Yeah.
It is my day for a sport.
Yeah.
Knock a ball and I'll go for all.
I love that, man. I wish that video got more love. That was a great little skit that he did.
Yeah, I could never do the accent. Sorry, y'all.
For a country with a relatively small population, Scotland has been the breeding ground for an astonishing number of inventions that have gone on to change the lives of everyone around the world. The usable steam engine by James Watt has already been mentioned in part 1, but Scottish inventors were the first to bring us the modern road surface, the telephone, the television, the refrigerator, the flush toilet, the encyclopedia, pedalled bicycles, pneumatic tyres, the kaleidoscope, antibiotics, logarithmic mathematics, modern geology, electromagnetism, colour photography, the absolute zero of temperature, and numerous objects in our galaxy were either discovered or significantly advanced by Scottish scientists.
Eat that, England.
Yeah. Oh god, that video.
Oh man.
Oh god, that video. That.
Yeah.
But you know what? Though it exists.
It
That's all I want to
exists.
say.
Yeah. The algorithm will probably serve it up to you if it hasn't already.
Galaxy were either discovered or significantly advanced by Scottish scientists. And as for famous Scots past and present, I offer you my personal list here now.
Great Scott. Yes.
Great Scott! Ewan McGregor, Robert Carlyle, Daryl Butler, Robbie Coltrane, a lot of
Yeah.
lot of
We're gonna be here
Scottish
for a
back.
while.
Yeah. All right, music. Here we go. All right, Franz Ferdinand. The Proclaimers and Young Brothers and Annie Lennox. Wait a minute, not even gonna mention Jerry Cinnamon?
No. He's just not gonna. He's gonna glance over that.
Whatever.
Maybe there's a spice category.
Maybe there's a what?
A spice category, and he'll be
Oh,
in that one.
shut the fuck up, man. Sherlock Holmes. Dr. Livingston, I presume. a big yin. Really, really Connolly. The song striking lobster.
Man,
you know, the last part, aside from not having cherry cinnamon, I think that was a hell of a list between
that's a stack list.
Yeah. And you know, it's a great crash course on Scotland. I mean, obviously the history one that deserves its own video. That's why he did it that way. And if y'all want us to check that out, get this up to 20,000 views and we'll check it out.
For
like
sure.
I said earlier.
For sure.
I want to be here for this. You know what I mean? Like, I hope you guys are too.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. Consider subscribing and watching another video.
Definitely.
Thank you, channel members, for your supports. And what now, Dan?
Unplug and do something legendary, guys.